Hello and welcome. I'm honored to announce that Voluson Ultrasound has turned 20 and we cannot contain our excitement. This journey has been a legacy of innovation and patient impact that began 20 years ago when Voluson Women's Health Ultrasound joined the GE family. Working with you and other physicians around the world, we have improved women's lives and ensured better health for generations. Voluson is known for its innovative technologies and easy workflows. It is also a global market leader in women's health ultrasound, thanks to your love, support, and partnership. To celebrate this anniversary, we have created a web series called The Voice of Voluson, which recognizes the change makers in women's health in South Asia. Follow these stories of remarkable physicians who transformed care and inspired us to always aim higher, be bolder, and think bigger. In today's episode, we have two stalwarts from the field of fetal medicine and gynecology. Though their backgrounds are varied, there are many commonalities between these two experts, and the biggest one is their undying passion and commitment towards patient care. Both have evolved their practice, adopted new techniques and advancements in ultrasound, and have successfully taken patient care to the next level. We are honored to have Dr. Bimal Sahani and Dr. Ladbans Kaur joining us to talk about their ultrasound journey, impactful patient moments, and how Voluson technology has played a key role in helping them deliver excellence in patient care. Let's hear it from the experts, Dr. Sahani and Dr. Kaur.
I wanted actually to become a surgeon. In fact, after finishing my graduation, I did 2 years in surgery, but I was not getting an official post-graduation in surgery. And then an MD radiology fell into my lap, you can say. And that is how my turn from planning to become a surgeon turned into becoming a radiologist or an imaging specialist, you can say that. When I joined my post-graduation in radiology, we didn't have an ultrasound machine in our department. And 3-4 months into my post-graduation, the first ultrasound machine came to our department. And there was nobody actually trained to use it, nobody trained to teach us. So we learned the hard way. But right from day one, I was very fascinated with this modality, ultrasound as such.
Being born in a family of intellectuals, my grooming has been extremely enlightening. After my schooling in Sacred Heart High School from Amritsar, I got my admission into Government Medical College from the same place where I did my undergraduation. I always wanted to be a doctor as I was greatly inspired by my father. I was fortunate enough to get married into a family of educationists, and with complete family support, I was able to accomplish my post-graduation in the Department of Radio Diagnosis and Imaging from PGI Chandigarh. It was then in the year 1992 the passion for gynae ultrasound arose when I received a research grant from the government of Haryana to purchase a transvaginal probe to conduct a study in 500 patients presenting with clinical suspicion of ectopic pregnancy. This helped a lot of patients whom we lose actually due to not proper diagnosis. And now with the probe coming in the year 1992, there was a dramatic change, and this disease was being detected early and treated early. As I finished my senior residency, I did I was a lecturer in 32 Medical College, and following that I joined practice, and that is the time when I had an opportunity to buy Voluson, and where it has not only given me a lot of confidence but has made me reach a level to where I am today. Voluson has actually been a complete encouragement to me when it yields such good images, such good confidence, and I bring it out with every patient of mine. It helps me to the correct diagnosis, and especially when I use the 3D tools, it makes a quicker diagnosis. It lands me with less differential diagnosis. It gives me a lot of confidence to actually embark upon a diagnosis very quickly, and that is the reason I am respected in the city. When I was requested to deliver a talk in University of Rochester, right? So the professor there was so impressed with the images and offered me to co-author a book on Atlas. So all these images actually were taken on Voluson, right? Similarly, when I was given an opportunity to, become a faculty for an advanced course of ultrasound, right, on examination of endometriosis, I presented my case on endometriosis, which was done on Voluson. So all these images were projected on Voluson, and that made me go and get so many forums for me, whether it was international, whether it was a national forum.
My association with Voluson has been around 9 to 10 years back. I was doing everything in ultrasound, and about 10 years back I decided no, hereafter I think I'm going to focus totally into the practice of fetal medicine. And the day I decided that, there was no other option but to have my first Voluson, because when it comes to women's imaging, you don't even have to think twice. The only option that you think of is Voluson, and I had my Voluson there. Mine is a private practice. I have an ultrasound clinic, or a fetal medicine clinic, you can say. And it's more of a tertiary reference center where, most of the fetuses who are suspected to have something are referred. And I'm actually a hardcore imaging person. And, for me, images mean a lot. I've always believed that good outcomes come from good diagnosis, and good diagnosis comes from good imaging. But honestly speaking, when I make a good diagnosis, yes, it gives me a lot of satisfaction. But a similar satisfaction, or maybe a little more than that, comes if I'm able to demonstrate that very well. It's more satisfying to me if I am able to depict all the findings that I'm talking about in the right way. And in that mission, or in that passion of mine, Voluson has been my best partner. And I think because of that, I have been able to get high quality images, high quality demonstrations. And then of course, that really helps me in teaching my students also, especially with the fetal heart. I have been a very, very strong advocate of using color Doppler as a part of basic screening of the fetal heart. Radiant flow gives us a 3D like picture on 2D itself. The flow is crisp, the flow is accurate, there's a lot of noise that goes away, there's no overlapping of color around, and that actually makes it's not just about making your life easy, it helps you making a lot of diagnosis which you otherwise would not have even thought of. I would say the most important area is the evaluation of the pulmonary veins and the smaller vessels, and that is where radiant flow comes in. And with the advent of slow flow, we've been able to use it in multiple uh, areas. Like I use slow flow for evaluating the cranial vasculature. You use slow flow for because the world is moving towards picking up cardiac anomalies in the first trimester, and that is where slow flow really helps you, because you are able to, because your E mode may not be able to give you too much of information in the first trimester. The color flow is important, and that is where if you have slow flow technology, you are able to make more precise diagnosis in the first trimester itself. So I think these two technologies have probably made things absolutely easy. With just one click of a button, you're able to see things. Now, if there was a time when people used to talk about the pulmonary venous abnormalities are very rarely picked up prenatally. But then now when you find that there are a lot of people who are picking up most of the abnormal pulmonary venous drainages. Now, how has that happened? That has happened because of these technological advances. Because we are able to see better, we are able to diagnose better. Another important segment is in obese mothers or mothers with a very high BMI. Your basic grayscale at times may be very difficult, and that is place where you require color, and that is where your radiant flow, your slow flow, all these things come into picture, and they give you much more information otherwise which you would have just left out, thinking that yes, this is a suboptimal examination because I'm really not able to see because of this woman being of a very high BMI. But that fetus also deserves the best, and I think the use of color with these wonderful technology of radiant flow, slow flow makes a huge lot of difference there.
Ultrasound in gynecology has evolved leaps and bounds. One, what we used to see ultrasound in gynecology was predominantly when we didn't have a transvaginal probe, was just beating about the bush, because the limitations of a transabdominal ultrasound to looking at uterus and ovaries were huge. But the day the transvaginal probe came into practice, believe me, it was like day and night. And over the years, with the developing technology of ultrasound and the developing technology, especially in the tools of 3D gynae, like OmniView, like VCIA, like 3D, believe me, we are able to reach a pathological diagnosis today. As we talk of adenomyosis, with OmniView, with VCIA, we are able to actually analyze the histology of adenomyosis, the way it progresses, right from the endometrium, across the myometrium, up to the serosa. All the changes, the way it produces, like it produces tiny echogenic lines, it causes interruption of the junctional zone, it produces tiny echogenic islands, myometrial cysts, thickening of the junction zone are predominantly seen by the OmniView, by the VCI-A. VCI-A is a wonderful tool. You do not need to go in and take your sweep. You just need to go to your 4D and you switch on your VCI-A, and believe me, today I use it in every patient. In every patient where I ever have a little confusion about how is my endometrial myometrial junction, is my junction zone okay or not, and let me tell you, VCI-A comes to a great rescue in telling me the defined junction zone or an ill-defined junction zone. Now this lady comes to me with spotting and pain for the past 3 to 4 months, and the clinician was unable to see the threads. So with the diagnosis of Malpo's copity, she was referred for a transvaginal ultrasound, and with that diagnosis, we went in and started with a routine transvaginal ultrasound. We saw that on examination of the uterus in the longitudinal and transverse section, part of the horizontal limb, whereas the vertical limb was displaced into the adjacent myometrium. So finally, it was 3D which came to a wonderful rescue by actually delineating not only the displaced part of the vertical limb, but also told us that where was the horizontal short limb of the copity. As you see in this particular image, you will be able to actually see that the long vertical limb of the copity was seen crossing the left cornua and extending into the adjacent myometrium and reaching up to the serosa. Whereas the short horizontal limb was malposed and was seen in the endometrial cavity, but its direction had completely changed. And that's the reason the lady was spotting, because of the copity which was it had entered into the adjacent myometrium. And that's the reason the clinician was unable to see the strings. So believe me, with this particular 3D tool, that is the coronal imaging of the endometrial cavity, the C-plane, and also with the use of OmniView, you are able to delineate the endometrial myometrial junction clearly, as well as delineate the presence of the copity, how it is malposed, what is the direction of the horizontal limb as well as the vertical limb of the copity.
About 3 years back, I had one patient with a very, very high BMI. She had undergone 2 scans in the last 1 week at 2 different places, which was reported as normal, but at the same time with a word of caution saying that, this is a suboptimal evaluation because of very, very poor sound penetration. So the patient thought, let me have one more opinion. And then they came to me for that. And that is where my color flow helped me. I could make a diagnosis of a cardiac anomaly, a cardiac type of a total anomalous pulmonary venous drainage, which was where the confluent vein was opening into the coronary sinus. Now, I made this diagnosis. I was very happy about it. But then what next? Now, for this entity, my city did not have the facilities for postnatal management and surgery. So this patient eventually went to a larger city where they went to a high-end pediatric cardiac surgery hospital. there they were advised that they need to deliver in nearby places so that the baby can be managed immediately. And so they shifted base. They got, the baby delivered in a gynae hospital which was attached to this hospital. The baby was immediately managed, operated on day 2, and the outcomes were wonderful. 6 months down the line, this couple came to me, and they came to thank me. And they said that when we went to thank the pediatric cardiac surgeon at the time of discharge, he said, I think you should go and thank the person who has picked it up. Because that was the most important thing in this whole thing, was to prenatally diagnose it so that you could shift base, so that you could deliver in a place where the facilities were close by. And that is the only reason that we could manage it. And I think that was an emotional moment for me. That was a wonderful feeling that yes, you've done something. And I think that is where technology really helps. Technology makes you pick up things. Technology helps the patient. So, eventually the ultimate beneficiary is the patient. And I think it's not just about my talent or my work. It's also about the machine that I was using and the technological support that I got. See, I have been practicing fetal medicine in a relatively smaller place, not of course a small town, but relatively smaller place. And when I started practice, I had a lot of challenges because we didn't have the specialists, or we didn't have super specialists in our town. And the challenges in such places is really, really high, because you have to be everything for the patient. You have to be the diagnostician, you have to be the counselor, you have to be the interventionist. Everything has to be done by you. And the patient profile is very different. Their socio-economic backgrounds are different. Their cultural beliefs are different. The practice of your colleagues is different as compared to the urban areas. So somewhere down the line, I always kept feeling, is a good fetal medicine practice a domain of just the metro cities? Don't the women in smaller towns or rural areas deserve good fetal medicine care? Now, what was the way out? If all those people who were coming up with high-end training never wanted to go to smaller towns. So at that moment, we thought, why not train people who are already practicing in these places? Train them about advanced imaging, train them about the nitty-gritties of counseling, train them about the outcomes of major abnormalities, train them about what are the postnatal management options which are available. And that led us to start a platform called Scholar MD. And with this concept, when I approached some of the best teachers of fetal ultrasound in India, they just, because I knew they were all very passionate about teaching, and so we all came together and we formulated a program. And I'm very, very happy that we have now about 250 students who are practicing in different areas of India, some in tier 2, tier 3 cities, some in smaller towns, some even in villages, and they're all doing fantastic fetal medicine work. It's not over yet. Our dream is that maybe a few years down the line, we would have at least one fetal medicine specialist in every taluka in India, so that every woman gets the best fetal care that can be available. And I think we are saving a lot of babies by doing that. And in this, Voluson has been a partner also. And in fact, most of our students have now shifted to Voluson, and they are finding the difference. They are using the technology. They are able to make better diagnosis, and that is something which was not thought about in those small towns. Yeah, my hobby was acting. I used to love to be on the stage right from my childhood. I used to do a lot of theater. I've done a lot of theater. I I used to direct my own plays. I used to act. I've acted in 2 TV serials also. So acting was always something which I was very passionate about, and I think that the desire to be on stage actually eventually culminated into me becoming a teacher, because that gives me an opportunity to be on stage and share my work with the audience. I've acted in a serial called Saath Saath, which used to come on Doordarshan. And then there was a serial called Divya Jyoti where I played the role of Gautam Buddha's Nana.
It all depends how much time you have, after you finish your clinical practice. And I'm extremely passionate about teaching, as that's the only way you can learn, right? And other than that, I love traveling and like to meet new people. And besides that, I have been a keen dancer, because I've graduated in Indian classical, and that is all.